Well, you must first and foremost recognize that this lockdown is very different from the first one. The last lockdown that we had, had to lock down the whole country. And that is why we had to take some of those measures, because we basically locked down the whole country and the whole economy. This time, luckily, some counties have done extremely well, and the rate of positivity was not the same across the whole country. So we were able to narrow it down and lock these five counties. The rest are still functioning as per normal. And it is our hope that within that 30-day period, and hopefully even sooner, when we are able to bring that curve down, like I said, to below 5%, that we shall be able to resume.
Just a few days ago, President Uhuru Kenyatta declared a discontinuance of movement between Nairobi, Kajiado, Machakos, Kiambu and Nakuru area, proclaiming these places as disease-riddled areas. He says the inspiration rate has whooped 10 times from 2.6% in January to 22% in March. Nairobi represents 60% of these recorded cases. Therefore, new and stricter measures are fostered to try and control the spread of coronavirus. The ongoing curfew, which starts at 10 p.m., now starts at 8 p.m. to 4 a.m., rendering all eateries, nightclubs, and any form of institutions closed prior to 8 p.m. Just like everyone else, Shani's education has been interfered with. She walks to school ready for a production session. Her temperature is checked, and she proceeds to sanitize her hands.
In terms of the changes that have been put in school, like in Riara University, they introduced different measures whereby at the beginning of the semester we came back to school, but you would do like 2 weeks online, then 2 weeks physical, depending on which, like different schools. Like maybe this 2 weeks you'd have multimedia and IR coming to school, then the other 2 weeks business, to avoid all of us being in school at the same time. And even when you're in school, you'd see a lot of changes, even in class. There's social distancing, you have to have your mask on every time, sanitizing. But at the same time, in bits of social distancing, like in Riara, I wouldn't say it's achieved very well, because you'll still see people, like when you need to do group work, guys are seated together, people are still hugging out here. So I feel like in as much as Riara is really trying to put these measures, as long as there's still people in school, it doesn't work effectively. And also, there was a policy whereby you would have to present your school ID at the gate whenever you walk in. And I think they were doing this to be able to track, like if in case you had a positive case or something of the sort, they'd be able to track who was in school at whatever time and on a certain day. And also, basically, generally, you'd see there's a lot of changes. And like in multimedia journalism, for us, we were really affected, because now using the equipment became a bit more difficult, because like right now there's a policy whereby you can't have more than 12 people in the studio at the same time. Also, if you need to do maybe a shoot or anything of that sort, you'd have to book in advance, and you're booking online. And sometimes you find like there's double booking. So generally, these measures are working to some extent, and to another extent, you find that they are becoming very unfavorable, especially to the students. I think they're doing the best that they could, because at the end of the day, COVID is new to everybody. I don't think they'd be perfect enough to know what exactly should be the best thing to do, but I do feel like they're trying their best. Like there's sanitizers around, everywhere around school there's sanitizers. They check your temperature when you're entering school, and of course if your temperature is high, for sure you will not walk in. And wearing masks, there's a policy whereby you should always be wearing a mask. That is not working 100%, but they're trying that too. Social distancing, and also even the rules like whereby you can't all be in school at the same time. I think they're trying their best. Yeah. It's a 50-50 situation. Certain people are trying, but I don't feel it's being achieved 100%, because like right now, if you go to school right now, you'll still find certain people, they're not maintaining social distance. Others are still walking around without masks. Others are not sanitizing as required. So either way, I feel in as much as they're trying, it's not working 100%. I think the simplest and the best measure would be basically just shutting the school and doing online classes. Like basically, it should just go virtual, and I think that would be the best measure to take, because at the end of the day, for as long as you still have people in school, people will still come here and hug. When people are going for lunch, they'd still eat together. So the best measure, in as much as it wouldn't be very favorable, would be to go virtual, like completely. Safety would be general, just like everywhere else, having fire extinguishers, having, like, maybe I think also Riara tries also in terms of health, whereby they even have like recently there was a clinic there where people would go to be tested for BMI, for HIV, and those kind of things. So I think Riara tries their best to take care of the well-being of their students besides the education.
We had a little chat with the keepers of Riara University on how different life has been since the school opened.
Ndio maana tumeweka sanitizer hapa, huwa tunatumia sanitizer halafu tuna keep distance. At least ndio tukue safe. Nitasema tangu corona ianze imeniaffect kwa kazi yangu, mahali nilikuwa ili mshahara ilipunguzwa. Sasa napata pesa rest. Maisha imekuwa ngumu, kusafiri kwenda nyumbani imekuwa shida. Sasa ndio tunaomba iishe haraka, maisha irejee kama kawaida.
Bullying has been a social disaster since the 19th century. Even the most high level of education, which is the university system, has been affected adversely. When people think of bullying, they usually think that the children are the only ones who are affected. But today, I want to dispel that notion and to prove to you that even at the most high level, people do get affected by cases of bullying. In university, people have dealt with social issues, cyberbullying, and even territorial issues when it comes to the social class difference in the university students. Ryan Kavalaji, a university student from Riara, shares his side of the story with us. Bullying is not something to be joked with.
Personally, I haven't faced any kind of bullying, but I've witnessed situations where students have been bullied, either cyberbullying or just physical bullying. And I believe this is something that administrations in institutions of higher learning should chip in and help these students. Bullying doesn't really affect children alone. It also affects others at the workplace, in schools. It cuts across everyone. I think the first step that people need to take is actually speak out, because you find that sometimes things happen to people and then they keep silent. So I think the first step is to speak out, and also institutions to have counseling departments so that they can help these kind of students.
This is a very serious issue, and if it's not taken care of soon, it will cost the life of many university students. Over the recent years, we have seen people, or rather university students, committing suicide just because of bullying put on them by their lecturers or even fellow students. This has to stop. This must stop. Iqbal Isak, reporting from Ariel. The social and economic disruption induced by the coronavirus pandemic has eroded progress in poverty reduction in Kenya, forcing an estimated 2 million more Kenyans into poverty. The poverty rate in Kenya, or rather, the people who live below the poverty line in Kenya, is still a huge number even in this year of 2021. Massive inequality in every sector, from economical, social, and negative ethnicity or tribalism, are the main culprits and causes of poverty in Kenya. Despite its many countless efforts, the government of Kenya is facing the challenging endemic of poverty. The gap between the poor and the rich is too big and ever increasing. As the late J.M. Kariuki well put it, Kenya has become a nation of 10 millionaires and 10 million beggars. Nearly a half of Kenyans lack basic commodities such as clean water, food, and medicine, says Afrobarometer, a Pan-African non-partisan research network. The 2020 Comprehensive Poverty Report by the Kenyan National Bureau of Statistics, KNBS, indicates that 16 million Kenyans out of the 45 million are poor, with an adult earning 3,200 Kenya shillings in rural areas and 6,000 monthly in urban areas.
About. As we all know, we have several slums in Nairobi. Almost every major estate that we have, there's always a slum there. And what's really sad about it is that these people lack the basic necessities such as proper sanitation, clean water to drink, access to affordable healthcare, as well as even, I don't know, it's just a very, very sad story, to be honest. And the reason for this is because there are no proper roads that these fire emergencies can access. But hey, we're in Kenya. Fire emergencies belong to the rich, per se. I don't know.
What's your take on this perception of only thieves live in the slums?
I think that's a very biased opinion. I have been to the slums. I've had the chance to interact with people who live in the slums, and to be honest, they've taught me a lot, and they are the ones who are most giving. Isn't it funny that the people who have less are the ones who give more? That's a gap even that will not and cannot be bridged anytime soon. As we all know, with the inflation and the COVID-19 pandemic, I cry for the people in the slums, because all of this affects them more so because of lack of proper sanitation. Even just having a proper toilet is a problem for them. So I don't know.
Although Kenya has made significant considerable progress with poverty reduction over the years, the COVID-19 pandemic has thrown everything into caution, and the economic effects will surely be felt over the coming months, and also putting in jeopardy all the progress made to reduce poverty in Kenya. There is need for social protection programs protecting livelihoods to prevent households from falling into long-term poverty is very essential.
They are non-existent to the people, to the government of Kenya, which is very sad. And I think it's up to the people that we've elected to come up with laws that can guarantee easy access to healthcare, and have proper sanitation, have clean water, and even just have a cleanup for the people in the slums, because I believe everyone is equal. I'm not better than somebody who lives in the slum.
Sorry. They say that in order to understand where you're going, you need to understand where you've been. Teaching and education as a whole has gone through an overhaul. In colonial times, teachers were referred to as schoolmasters. The curriculum in the colonial days consisted of reading, writing, simple arithmetic, poetry, and religious studies. The three most commonly used books were the Bible, a primer, which is a small introductory book. The curriculum in the colonial days consisted of reading, writing, simple arithmetic, poetry, and religious studies. The three most commonly used books were the Bible, a primer, which is a small introductory book on a subject, and a hornbook, what is now known as a set book. Schoolmasters, besides teaching, had to keep the schoolhouse tidy, check school chimneys for soot, as well as discipline students. Learning in the colonial times was majorly separated along gender and social status lines. Boys were taught basics at home, then went on to attend school where they learned higher mathematics, Greek, Latin, science, celestial navigation, which was the navigation of ships using stars, geography, history, fencing, social etiquette, and plantation management. Sometimes, boys were sent to boarding school and stayed over to study medicine or law in the university. Girls, on the other hand, were expected to learn enough reading, writing, and arithmetic so as to be able to read the Bible and also to be able to record household expenses. They were also taught art, music, French, social etiquette, needlework, spinning and weaving, cooking, as well as nursing. In terms of social status, children of poor families did not receive education in literacy and religious studies like those who came from upper-class families. Instead, while the upper-class men went abroad to England to continue their studies, lower-class children took apprenticeships which lasted between 3 to 10 years. The purpose of these apprenticeships was to equip them with the skills to help them survive life in the colonies. Learning came to a halt during the World Wars, with many schools being closed to serve as barracks for soldiers, meaning learning fell to primary caregivers such as parents and home tutors. Though, after the war, learning in schools quickly resumed, although it was a sharp differentiation to how learning is being conducted today. In the olden days, teachers were expected to be all-knowing. Students were only encouraged to ask questions that the teachers were conversant with. This means that curiosity among students was discouraged and many times punishable. Also, peer teaching was not as common as it is today. Teaching was expected to be the sole responsibility of schoolmasters, which is a stark contrast to how learning is conducted today. Nowadays, learning has evolved in that students are expected to be co-teachers with their tutors. The responsibility of teaching is shared with the teachers. Students are encouraged by teachers to ask useful questions in the classroom, and curiosity is now encouraged. Also, learning is not primarily patriarchal, and both male and female students are allowed to learn similar courses, sit for similar exams, and even attend similar schools and universities. Technology has also greatly influenced the evolution of teaching, in that students can now easily interact with teaching materials and self-teach themselves, all from the comfort of their homes. They can even attend primary school to even university primarily online. Emphasis of learning is now on the students and what they can do and the knowledge they can acquire rather than the units of knowledge they actually have. With technology, laptops, phones, and tablets have become more popular in teaching institutions. Pens and pencils are far from obsolete as of yet, but forward-thinking educators are finding other interactive tools to grab the students' attention. Nowadays, some school programs are built around high-tech means such as geocaching, which incorporates the use of interactive games to teach physical education. Students are encouraged to find e-pen pals to be able to learn global languages from native speakers. Applications such as Skype and Google allow teaching to occur on a global scale. Many say that augmented reality is fast becoming the future of teaching, whereby it connects students with virtual characters. Many people can recognize that EdTech is devoting technology to promote education. It's true, but not sufficient. The Association for Educational Communications and Technology has defined EdTech as facilitating learning and improving performance by creating, using, and managing appropriate technological processes and resources. On the other hand, educators who actually use EdTech have a much simpler definition of the term. They say that it is a concept of transforming traditional book teaching and learning to digital form. For them, the main difference lies in the way knowledge is delivered, thanks to technology innovation to make teaching more effective. In short, EdTech is simply the process of integrating technology into education to build better teaching and learning experiences that result in higher learning outcomes. Why should it matter? There are lots of reasons why educators shifted to EdTech, replacing the traditional paper and pen teaching method. Particularly, there are some common advantages of EdTech. 1. Innovative teaching methods. Technology is an innovation of humans, so when an educator can apply technology to teaching, it is also innovative. EdTech allows teachers to provide multimedia to address diverse learning styles such as animation, live video, etc. Besides, EdTech enables teachers to create online courses where students can learn in their own space and at their own pace. Improve collaborative teaching. Technology has made it possible for everyone to stay connected. Students and teachers connect, discuss, share their opinions, and act upon situations collaboratively. For example, e-learning is an educational tool that features collaboration by enabling students to share and discuss. Instead of being in a classroom and listening to teachers speak for 30 minutes, e-learning students can join an online group or platform and learn together by interacting with their peers. In this case, teachers are more accessible and act as mentors to help students develop themselves. This collaborative learning approach has bridged the gap between teachers and students and also helps students strengthen their interpersonal skills. Teaching and learning process. Firstly, EdTech benefits how teachers teach, both online and offline, not always having to go to a specific class at a specific time. Students can learn whenever and wherever. Second, EdTech changes the way students approach learning. EdTech makes learning more fun and exciting for students. When we feel engaged in learning, we learn better, remember better, and also apply knowledge better to real life. Lastly, technology makes education smarter, more effective, thus satisfying learners' needs more. True educators bring valuable knowledge to learners, both in theory and in real life. But smart educators are those who can create teaching from what learners want to learn. To sum up, EdTech doesn't mean teachers have to become IT experts, but it's true that teachers can do these fascinating things only with technology, and that's why we need EdTech in life. If you are an innovative educator, following the trends in education is probably not something new but rather essential. Even with this list, however, it is still up to you to choose the most suitable trendy aid for your teaching and training. E-learning. Distance learning became the top 2020 educational technology trend overnight because of the rapid spread of COVID-19 and school closures. This led to a rising demand for online educational platforms. E-learning is education or training delivered electronically. It can be slide-based online activities, or it can also be an online course that helps a business train employee in necessary skills. With e-learning, educational content is delivered to learners through computers, laptops, tablets, or smartphones, not only saving time but opening many doors for interactive learning. Rather than being in a passive experience, learners can choose what they need to learn quickly and easily wherever they are. The comfort of hands-on learning also helps students collaborate better with others. Social media in learning. Have you ever thought that social media will be a part of the learning process? When every student, both young and mature, spends so much time on social media, why don't we turn it into a powerful tool to enhance learning? It's how the idea to use social media for teaching came about. Many educational institutes have started using social media as a communication tool in which students can interact with others easily. Students can share study materials, discuss with others in a group, or easily comment on someone else's post. Even an animated learning video could go viral on social media, and TED is the typical example of this trend. This organization creates lessons worth sharing and posts them on YouTube where people can easily access, find, and share the educational videos with their friends. Social media is here to stay and build a culture of collaboration and sharing, leading to an improved learning experience. In the end, we know that there is a lot to digest when we talk about educational technology trends. However, keep in mind that technology has seeped into education and renewed its whole teaching and learning process, especially e-learning, an educational tool that not only increases the accessibility and convenience of education, but also changes the learning behaviors and learners' desires for learning. But here is good news. You don't need to go alone on this edtech ship because you have us who will join you in bringing forth the true value of learning, inspiring learners, and making education more relevant and empowering.